I want to touch on, like, let's say slut shaming, for example, right? So, you know, we live in a free sexual society. You know, everyone should be able to do what they want without being judged. But do you know that the people who slut shame women the most are actually other women? They're not men.
Yeah.
Because men,
it's the
if anything,
women.
men love sluts because it's like, we can have sex.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
There is this thing, isn't there, of it's like what is it, where you want like a freak on a freak in the sheets, but
lady in the streets,
a lady in the streets. There we go. Yeah. That's the one, right? So I think, of course, like if you're a guy who loves sex and you're like, yes, more sex, but I think there is still that thing of like, oh, but not for a wife.
So we should stay on that, but carry on.
But with regards to the slut shaming, no, for sure. And I've said this like many times with people before.
Yeah.
Is that actually a lot of the time the biggest upholders of patriarchy are women, and we're so good at it. We're so good at it because hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Do you think slut shaming is part of the quote unquote patriarchy, or do you think that's just women trying to eliminate competition? So it's the same as like if you've got a few guys and they're trying to get the attention of a girl, it's very natural. Guys would be like, well, yeah, guess what? Well, I came first in the race, or my man's only 5'7" over here. So it's like eliminating the competition because and we can talk about this after, the whole thing of, you know, guys not wanting to quote unquote wife up certain kind of promiscuous girls or whatever as a general consensus and all this, and women also because a lot of women who, especially if they want a guy, they kind of know this. It's kind of, you know, if a girl's into a guy, she'll be like, oh yeah, but you know, she slept with half of the guys in here, so I probably wouldn't go there. But I'm a really great option because I've not done that.
I've got
do you know what I mean?
Much potential.
So do you think, how much of it do you think is the quote unquote patriarchy, and how much do you think it's just women trying to eliminate other competition?
I do definitely think, and I would also like to point out that I think this is definitely getting better, because I think now more and more women are going, why actually are we competing against each other? Like,
well, because they want the man, don't they?
Well, but I think that as a society we've pushed that because it aids the society. I think especially if it's like we're trying to enforce, say, the patriarchy. It's like, what a genius plan to get women to be self-enforcing. We don't even need to police them that hard because they'll do it themselves.
I think competition's always been around though. Men have always competed for women.
But I would completely agree that I think there is always a certain element of like, I'm gonna throw you under the bus because I want this guy. I completely. So I can see why. I would say that I don't think that would necessarily be the thing I would reach for. No. It would maybe more be like a fault in their actual personality. But I would say that I'm sure it does happen, and I think we are still animal in the sense of we're thinking of our own survival, right? And we're thinking of number one. So of course, if we're kind of like, we see someone, especially if it's a one person, this immediate competition.
Yes.
I would say when that argument falters a little bit is when you've got an entire group of people, when you're kind of spreading it out, dissipating it online, dissipating it into larger groups or into people where it's like, these are not people competing with you. I don't actually know that many women now that I'm in my 20s where it's like, we're competing for this guy. Maybe when you're in school where you're like, you know, everyone wants to sleep or like date the lead football guy or whatever, you know. That was a thing when I was in secondary school. I don't know if that's still a thing, but that was a definite thing. And I remember then it was something, but I think actually and a really positive change is seeing more women uplifting each other, and I'm seeing less cattiness and more people going, actually why are we doing this? Because it only hurts ourselves. It only harms us, actually, to perpetuate that, especially if the thing that we're choosing to tear this other woman down with is her sexuality. You know, and also it's I mean, for people who are like religious viewers, it's that thing, isn't it, of like, how can you judge someone, you know, thorn in your eye and all that, like, how can you how can we I think if you view it from a lens as well of like, it's sinful behaviour, I think, and that's a whole nother topic of conversation, but I think that how can you judge someone? We're all sinners or whatever, you know. So
I do think that the, you know, because men compete for women and women do compete for men, and I think the competition competing, whatever it is, in the dating game or market, I think it's even more prevalent when you come out of school, because you know how you said earlier, like when you're looking at dating apps, you're like, oh, there's so many great women, and you look at the guys and you're like, there's only a few guys here that I would actually give a chance. And I think most women feel that way. So if a woman is looking to get the guy, because there's such few options that a lot of women would actually consider, I think there can be even more of an incentive to be like, well, because there's only one of him out of like 50 guys and 5 other women want him, I'm going to do whatever I can to get him.
I think it becomes more of an abstract thing, though, when we start talking about apps, because this competition that we feel, we're not actually interacting or seeing any of these other women. We don't come into contact with any of them. So if we have this competition, it's something that we're kind of projecting inwards. And it's not like we don't know them. We can't actually reach out to this guy on Tinder and be like, hey, before you were about to swipe left on me, I just need you to know that half of the women on here, like, do you know what I mean? We don't actually know them. So I think that, again, I think it becomes...
They've all been round the block.
Many times I've seen them. Get out the bell from Game of Thrones, you're like, shame.
I saw her walking naked in the street, I swear.
I think it becomes more abstract. I understand the point you're trying to make. I think it becomes more abstract because we're not actually in any kind of contact with these women. I would say that the competition you then internalize more.
That's true.
I would say that seeing other really attractive people, seeing people's profiles, I think it's why people who are dating coaches or people who are like, you know, let me tell you how to get the best dating profile. It's why they're successful, is because they're actually saying, look at all of these women here, look how successful they are, take these things and use it on yourself. And so I would say actually you tend to internalize that more. So instead of kind of projecting outwards onto people of don't go for her because of this, instead you go, well, they're successful because of that. So I'm going to take that, and now you should pick me because of this.
100%.
So I would say that maybe happens more, especially within the kind of dating